This is the Succeed in Business podcast. The podcast is inspired by a book titled Succeed in Business, Learn from Your Business Failures and Succeed. The book shares practical information on how to find inspiration in humble beginnings to become a successful entrepreneur. Through this book, you will learn that starting small is always the best way, and if you fail, you are equipped enough to start again. It also provides nuggets at the end that you need to read daily to know how to navigate challenges in your small business. If you want to get a copy of the book, contact Mpho Nenweli at 082-567-3099 on WhatsApp and on email mpho@anisa.co.za. The book costs 259 rands including courier.
Hello everyone, this is Mpho Nenweli and this is the Succeed in Business podcast. This podcast will bring the best in you. Failure is inspiration. Success is within your reach. Do not give up. In today's podcast, I'm going to discuss a very pertinent and interesting topic in relation on how to identify partners for your business. The experience that I've had in the businesses that I've started in the past 15 years have shown to me that finding a partner is one of the hardest things in business. It's easier to conceptualize a business and run it by yourself without other people. But it gets very difficult to get other people to work with you to build a bigger and successful business. And it's unavoidable that one cannot run a business that will grow without having to bring other people or other hands so that the business can be bigger and more beneficial to both the owners and the community at large. The biggest challenge is that people tend to be very much unreliable, and we are living in a selfish, individualistic society, which is capitalist in nature, driven by greed, and people wanting to show off a lot of unnecessary success on social media. So there's a lot of the glorifying of the individual in this particular era. And social media has amplified the glorification of the individual and not the collective. So one can say social media has done a lot of harm on the collective. And schools that we also send our children to, where we also go to study, they all promote competition, individualism, and very minimal collaboration. So it's not a miracle or something very surprising that we find very few individuals that we can partner with in business, share the same vision, share the same drive, be able to compromise, be able to grow a business from a zero in the bank account to something very exciting in the long term. In this focus on partners, I will try to look at the issue of how do you work with your parents as potential business partners? How do you work with your siblings and extended family members as business partners? What are the pitfalls that you can avoid? I will also look at the issue of friends, be it people that you have met along, at school, or you grew up at the same place with, or, people that you go to church with. What are the challenges of bringing those people into the business space where you are operating or into a startup? I will also look at an example of if you're considering to bring in somebody working in government into your smaller enterprise that you want to grow and make it bigger. I will give some insight on my experience working in government in terms of what are the potential people that you can get in business and what are the challenges of some of the people that have got a government culture in their approach to doing things. I will look at things that you need to avoid in the process of identifying partners to ensure that you avoid failure. You destroy a beautiful business from the start by bringing the wrong people who are interested in making profit and selfish reasons. So it's quite very important to choose partners very, very cautiously and with very deep introspection. I would like also to share that family is quite a very important source of support when you are starting a business or running a business. And a good example also is that families do provide a very strong driving force in running intergenerational businesses that can make an impact and employ masses of people and generate billions of money. And I'll give examples in South Africa. The South African economy is probably dominated by less than 10 families. And, it's typical of a capitalist system. It's not necessarily unique to South Africa. These families include the Ruperts with their enterprises in luxury brands, the Ackermans who own Pick n Pay, which is a multi-billion rand franchise with more than 40,000 employees throughout the country in South Africa. This includes the Oppenheimers with interest in mining and other areas. The Mutsipes also who are, having businesses in mining. So there's quite a very strong dominance of the family. And then the advantage there is that there's high possibilities of intergenerational link where business is handed from one generation to the other. The people get groomed in the business, through their mentors who can be parents or siblings, and then they get all the necessary support from a very young age, and the inspiration is always there at home. There's a very serious advantage in having a family-run business, and we've seen that these businesses can be very sustainable for decades. And the examples that I've given you in South Africa are a case in point. And we also have the dominance of individuals, which probably can create a wrong impression that people don't have to collaborate. And this is basically the result of the capitalist system of where those who are very smart can be able to amass a huge fortune. And this, for example, people always refer to the 1% controlling the American economy. And that relates to people such as your Elon Musk of Tesla, your Jeff Bezos of Amazon, your Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. These are, your Bill Gates of Microsoft. These are just individuals with a huge fortune. Your Steve Jobs family, the amount of wealth that is left. So there's quite a lot of individualism there, but they still work with very good and capable employees underneath them. So it's quite very important to draw inspiration from these people. But I think the most important for us in Africa is to strive for a lot of collaboration. We need to work together to share the skills, maximize our resources, and in particular as Black Africans, create a niche for ourselves in the economy instead of being reliant on other races without being able to produce anything for ourselves, be it the food we eat during the day, the clothes that we wear, the cars that we drive, literally the schools where we send our children to. We need to take matters into our own hands, and we need to partner. That is why I'm focusing on this particular topic on this episode. It's quite very advantageous to look at parents as potential partners in business. And parents can also provide different sorts of support when you are starting a business. This can include financial resources, which can be in the form of money with no interest. That can be a very good boost for a business when it's starting up. The only challenge there is that some parents can, become problematic later on because they may feel that they are also entitled to the success of your business because you use their money to start your business. And you can also be blackmailed by siblings because as your business grows, they may feel that you owe them something because you use the money from the parents to start your business and grow it. The other thing also on the issue of partnering with parents is that they can offer support in the form of being there and running the business, providing their skills, their experience, and ensuring that the business is safe, from, plundering by your employees. It can be very beneficial to have them. It's very important to have somebody with your interests at heart looking after the business. The challenge is that as the owner of the business, you may find it very difficult to control your parents. And they may also see you as a child, despite the fact that you are the owner and the one who started the business. And that can create tension over time, and it can also derail the business. It's quite very difficult if you partner with your parents. You cannot be able to hold them accountable, and you can't be hard on them because they are parents. So just be very cautious before you involve parents. Just determine what role can they play. Are they going to be able to respect your role as the owner of the business, as the one who has created the business? The other very challenging thing is the issue of siblings and the extended family. Sometimes we do bring in siblings to work with us or to partner with us in the business. It can be out of pity because they are struggling, but also it can also be a way of saying you don't want to leave the family out of the business, and the business benefits people that are not members of the family. You can be seen to be really loving people that are not necessarily family, which is not good. So the issue of siblings can be very good if they are cooperative and they collaborate. So if they cooperate and they collaborate, it can be great because they will offer the support in terms of their expertise. Sometimes they can also inject their capital. They can put in their time. They can also protect the business from other people who don't have the interest at heart. The only problem is that it's quite very rare to get siblings that will be willing to dedicate their time to work in a business with zero in it. People always want to be involved in something that is successful, where they can see the money and where they know they can derive some benefit immediately. So in the short run, when you are starting a business, before people can see the money coming in, there's quite a tendency of not wanting to get involved. And there's also some sort of negativity where you'll be told it's not going to work. People will not want to support you in any way. But once the cooperation or collaboration is not there with siblings, it can lead to enmity, and some of them can feel very much entitled to your success, and they may want to derive undue benefit, access. Some of them will demand to be given money, and if you don't give them money, they will speak badly about you to the parents and other siblings, and they will also feel that because you grew up with them and there's this or that small thing that they've done, you owe them something, so you have to pay back whenever they see some form of success. It's quite very difficult to manage siblings. So I really want to throw caution to the people who want to bring in siblings into their businesses, because it can be the poison that kills everything. just check if the siblings have got the interest of the business at heart, and if they are willing to put in the hard work. Because if they're not willing, you'll end up working for them. The other challenge is that they will ultimately want to benefit from your success without having to put in any effort. And if they don't get that benefit, they will find all sorts of ways to blackmail you, that you don't like them, you hate them, you are selfish, you are not cooperative, you are the one, you love people who are not part of the family. So there's all sorts of challenges of bringing siblings and the extended family into the business. So it must be done under very serious caution, and one must pick the right ones quite very cautiously. I've tried it many times. I've ended up with more problems than solutions. Some will just be drunk from the very first day that you bring the person to work. Some will come to work, they work in a business that is just starting. Then the person will work at 4 o'clock, in the afternoon. The person will just switch off the phone. They will not want to interact with you, and they will want you to pay. And immediately once you expel them from the work, then you become hated, and all sorts of things start to happen, some of which get very nasty. So be very cautious in terms of bringing family and siblings into the business. It can lead to the collapse of the business before it even takes off. It is very difficult to hold siblings and family accountable. And in a small business, you cannot afford people who don't want to offer value. You want everyone who is in the business to be pulling at, maximum. You need maximum effort, and you need the long-term vision. People who will not see a small money coming in and want to use it. People who will have the intention to grow the business to be something bigger. So it's very important to avoid that. Then the other thing also, which is quite very good, which one can look at, is the issue of husband and wife becoming business partners. I've read a few stories where people worked very well as husband and wife. The example is the late Richard Maponya. He worked very well with his wife. Raymond Ackerman, with his wife Wendy, they worked very well and they built Pick n Pay from scratch. Yanni Mouton worked very well with his now deceased wife. It's something that works if you find that the partners, they have respect of each other's unique capabilities, and they give each other space to work in the business, and they can also be able to separate, the issues of family from the issues of business. It's quite very difficult because there's a thin line in between there, because during the day you will have to operate as professionals within a business space, and as you go home you become husband and wife. So to demarcate the boundaries and to be able to work, it may be a little bit of a challenge, and friction at home may affect the business. So that also must be exercised with a lot of caution. But there's no better person to work with than your partner if the partner has got the vision, the drive, and the will to put in the hard work and understand where the business is going. And then also the partner is willing to sacrifice to make things work. Then the other thing also is the issue of friends as potential business partners. Friends can be very good, and this can be friends that one meets when growing up or at university. I found that probably the better people to partner with in business are those friends that you meet maybe, studying for a particular degree, or, at university. They maybe, recognize a particular skill. And down the line, after gathering some experience, you might find that it's better to come together and work because you have got some knowledge of each other's strengths and weaknesses, and you can be able to complement each other. That can be a very good, thing to look at when looking for partners. But obviously, it's got its own downside, because friends, sometimes you'll find that they know you, they know where you come from, and down the line it can create some friction, because they may want to take advantage of your kindness, of the fact that they know that you, at some point in time, you were very poor, and then they will want to compete with you in terms of accessing the resources of the business. It can be a very difficult thing to deal with. I think it might be better in some cases to just get professionals, go and interview potential people to partner with, and then get them to work with. So unfortunately, most of the time, we just prefer to just look at somebody that we meet, we get excited and say, let's come together and partner, without even knowing each other. It's very important, because amongst friends, there can be some form of jealousy over time. There are situations where people, become very problematic once they see the inside of the business and the money coming in, and they see that you're probably the main shareholder and you're going to get more wealthy. It can become very problematic. I've tried in many cases to bring in friends that I've met, sometimes feeling for them that if they come into the business, they can flourish. If they leave their jobs because they're struggling, to handle their affairs there, or their salaries are, stretched, they can come and work with me. But the lessons I've learned is that people become very selfish immediately they come in. Some of them will come in and say into the business and say they want to earn the salary. When I try to task them, they get very irritated. They will want to go and study as if they are working in a government where somebody is subsidizing them, and they can go on study leave for years and somebody has to pay the salary. So it's quite very dangerous to bring friends into the space. It's the same people that you'll bring with a kind heart to work with as partners. Immediately when you run into difficulties or you suffer, you're not going to find them. Actually, I had one of the friends at some point in time using my resources. And because I was juggling projects, I was financing another business which was struggling, where this particular person was earning some income. And when I ran out of the resources, the person laughed at me and said, "Oh, the money has run out." And that's when I realized the character of the person. There was no appreciation of saying, "You have used your savings to keep us going. I've managed to look after my family, pay for the school fees, using the income from your business." The person was very quick to laugh, and you could see there was a challenge that people are not interested in growing the business, are not interested in being of good assistance, in making things work. They are there to serve themselves, to meet their own needs. So it's quite very difficult to get the right friends who you can partner with in a business and really run something successful. There needs to be a lot of caution in bringing friends into business, because you definitely can't really hold them accountable. The other thing also to avoid is desperate people who are very good when they are struggling and they come in because you know them, and then you give them an opportunity to work with them. They become very problematic over time. Immediately they start to get better, they will not be taking instructions from you. I've had people that I've brought in to work with, to partner with, and then they'll take me to the CCMA for all sorts of accusations for not wanting to work. And by the time they come, they're so humble, and you feel pity for them, and you give them the space, and they earn a salary from the projects that you've brought into the business, and over time they spit on your face. So really, the issue of friends in the business is not something that I really promote, unless you get really the best people for the job. And that's where I think I can be able to agree. Fellow church people, it's also not really very advisable. I've tried it also, it never works. You think that everybody who goes to church is kind-hearted, there's no sense of evilness in them. No, church people are probably as bad as any other person. So the fact that they are members of a church doesn't make them, the most kind people. It doesn't make them, hardworking people. Actually, some of the people that are brought in to work with who are from church, they had a tendency to prefer to pray than to work, which was very shocking, because you look at the whole issue of the Bible. God spent, 6 of the 7 days working and rested on the seventh. So this idea of not working, of trying to pray and get a house and a car, in some form of a miracle, makes it very difficult for me to understand. So church people really, they are not necessarily the best people to partner with. But it doesn't necessarily mean all the people at the church, they are bad. You can find some that are very good, and they may be the right people to work with, but you have to be very cautious. Don't just assume that because a person is a member of your church, all the people in the church are all good people because they are, converted into whatever religion. They have left their bad ways. Church has got good and bad people, just as much as we have good and bad people outside of the church. So one has to be very cautious in terms of using the church as a place to get people to work with. One of the things that I would want to share as an example when one introspects in terms of potential people to partner with, I would want to share my experience in government. You may be interested in getting some people, some of them may be very high level with resources, who are working in government or who have worked in government, to come and partner in the business. Government is full of hardworking people and who work under very stressful conditions and sometimes with very minimal resources, obviously related to quite a lot of challenges, where they are not equipped with the technology and the machinery that can make it easier for them to perform their duties. But one thing that I want to bring to your attention is that sometimes people who have worked in an environment like government may not be the best people to partner with. And I'll provide some reasons. And one of those is that government is not run for profit. So there's no drive to make, the government a profitable entity. It survives on, taxes, primarily from businesses and people. So civil servants tend not to be too prudent in terms of the way in which they use the resources. One of the things also that I would want to point out to government employees is that we see with the ballooning, wasteful and fruitless expenditure that there's quite a lot of recklessness in terms of using money, which in the business space is something that we avoid at all cost. You cannot afford to be leaking or bleeding a lot of money, because your entity will not be able to be sustained for 6 or 12 months. I say to some of the people that I know that if the government departments that they are running were businesses, they wouldn't last for 6 to 12 months. So the other thing also is that some of these government entities, they spend 60% of the amount of money that they're given from the fiscus on paying salaries, travel, renting offices, and 40% is spent on serving the public. Then with that type of proportion, you know very well that the intention is not necessarily to serve the public. If you spend 60% on yourself and then 40% on the people, then the main interest is to serve yourself. So you cannot run a business in that proportion. A business has to be primarily adding value to the community. It must bring goods and services that people can be able to pay for, and then that's when you can derive profit. Without doing that, then you cannot be sustainable. So the challenge also is that some of the people that I've met who have worked in government do not mind to spend hours arguing about a comma, a full stop, a type of a picture, which is not very beneficial if you're starting a business. The least thing that you are very stressed in generating income. You are stretched in terms of time. You are working more hours. And the last thing you want is a partner that wants to spend hours arguing some petty things, or the way in which the website must look, or the way in which the company profile must look, things that do not bring any income at all. Once you start arguing about the petty things, you must know that the partnership is not likely to work, because the primary focus that you should be arguing on is how do we generate money, because businesses are sustained by generating income. That's how they become sustainable. But the culture of government employees spending times in workshops where they just do presentations to each other and they can comment, interrogate, discuss these policies, either whatever they're talking about gets implemented or not, it's immaterial. And then they get awarded for the best performance, and they get their awards and the bonuses. So in running a small business, that doesn't really work. We need to know what are the things that we spend more time on. What are the things that we can argue on? Where are the primary discussions that are supposed to take place in order to grow the business? So somebody once even gave a humorous example that if we were to give government officials to manage the Namib desert, we will find no sand in it. But it just tells you that they don't necessarily have the mentality of getting things to be sustained. But that's the nature of the civil service. It's not really profit driven. It's not sustainability driven, to the point that sometimes people tend to then ultimately focus on themselves, their bonuses, and do very minimal work in the communities, to the point that communities get very frustrated. So if you intend to partner with somebody in government, just look at introspect. I'm just using the government people as an example. It can be in any other sector. You have to look at the mentality of the industry in which the person is coming to work with. They may be contradicting philosophies and the way in which you see things, that you will end up arguing non-stop to the point that you will not have the business to take off. The culture of paper pushing in government, the mentality of position and prestige. Some people that I've tried to work with, they are so obsessed about the positions that they occupied in government, to the point that you can see that the mentality is not good for running a small business, where you don't have the support, you don't have the admin, you don't have the human resource, you don't have the finance department that will support you. You will have to do all the work by yourself. Most of the people that come from government will never flourish in a business space, and I probably could say more than 90%. They are not really cut for business. And some of them is that they just also get obsessed with the position mentality, which the authors of The Millionaire Next Door said it's the big head but no cattle type of mentality. Sometimes it's just really a lot of arrogance related to the position that one occupies and the power related to it. So this type of people may not be humble enough and not to be willing enough to sacrifice and work hard hours, a lot of hours, to make a small business take off from the ground up. So you have to be very cautious when you look for these people who are very much interested in spending a lot of time honing their PowerPoints and moving from one meeting to the other, using the same PowerPoint or changing it here and there, but really just regurgitating the same information all the time. In the small business, you need to be very innovative. You need to use your resources strategically. You need to know how to navigate things, and you need to also be able to make decisions standing on your feet all the time. So you cannot afford to have a government mentality where you can let decisions, not be taken for months, to the point that the employees get frustrated and they cannot move. So it's quite very important to get people who are responsive, who understand the small business space, people who know that the small business space requires a lot of hard work, sleepless nights, a lot of risk and sacrifice, but there's a lot of rewards at the end of the day. So people must be fit for the purpose. People must be fit for the journey. People must be able to come with the spirit of partnering and complementing each other, not with a bossy attitude or the attitude that they used to have, where they were worshipped by their subordinates, and they would want to bring that culture to a small business that cannot afford the luxuries of life when it is just at its infancy. So the issue of selecting partners, you need to really be sure you introspect on the industry where the person is coming from. What is the culture of that particular industry? What are some of the behaviors of the people in that particular industry? Are these people productive? Are they willing to put in hours? Do they have a long-term vision? Are these people, in for instant rewards? So I'm sharing here some introspection on the government way of thinking, that it can be a challenge to get people in that particular space to come and work and be productive. It's not necessarily on government alone. I mean, my experience also when I worked in the United Nations was not really very different. People there will spend a lot of time sometimes writing reports on projects they have never seen by just going online, Googling, and write reports. They send them to New York. And then, some of the people will just have big policy talk, move from one meeting to the other, hire consultants, put this plan, that plan, and this plan, and never implement anything to completion, wear their expensive suits, push their careers to the top. They are not necessarily some of the best people to come and work in a small business space, or sometimes in the business space. They are hardworking people, but the mentality is just not really in line with running and starting a small business that requires all hands on the deck, and you probably have to work in 20 out of the 24 hours for years, and you have to work sometimes for 3-6 months without deriving a salary, but knowing that you have to keep calm, you must be confident things are going to work out, and you cannot be emotional about anything. So I'm trying to say, just introspect on the people that you want to partner with, and don't bring a crowd. Start with 1 or 2 people to work with, and then rather employ other people to come and join the organization. But also, when employing the people, try to not just randomly hire people who are desperate, or friends who are tired of where they are working, or they are no longer in good relationship with their bosses. They want to get an outlet, and then you just bring them into your business. They are not going to help you grow your business. They will come, hang around, do their best not to work much, and maximize any opportunity to earn. And if they can bring their fellow family members to also earn, they will do so. I've seen it in the businesses that I've run. Some of the people that I've worked with will not really contribute much in terms of work, but they will make sure that they will create work opportunities for their relatives in the same business. and then they will bring their relatives who will mess up, this one will mess up, then they'll bring another one, this one will mess up, and then that's when you start to realize that partners are quite very critical in the growth of the business. We need to have the same vision, we need to have the same spirit. We must also not have the attitude of having instant results and having short, quick success. Business is a game of patience, and partners need to know the money that comes in has to be reinvested to grow the business. So the quick edge to use the money that has been received, or the profit generated, will just kill the business. So some people are in business to be able to get access to money and show off to the world through all sorts of platforms such as social media. That is not the right attitude to build a business that will last and grow, and it can employ people, and it can be handed over from one generation to the other. But the thing is, get the right partners to work with, and the partners must add value. They must come in there and also appreciate the fact that you have started a business and you have taken it so far, and you deserve a higher proportion of the shareholding, and they can buy into the shareholding. So it's very important to know what are the people that you're bringing in, because it can just kill your business. Starting a business from scratch is quite a very hard effort, and when it's running, you just want to grow it. So bringing the right people will make sure that it succeeds. One of the things that makes it hard for us to get partners is that we live in a very competitive environment, and the capitalist system promotes individualism. So the culture is the focus on the me, myself, and the I. We want to show off ourselves as the most successful individuals, and social media has also blown that out of proportion. So the education system that we have promotes competition amongst each other, amongst ourselves, and those who get the best marks are the ones that get worshipped, they get respected. Even in communities where they stay, they are the ones that can talk, even if they don't really know much or they don't talk sense at all. So it creates this culture of lack of collaborative effort, which is anti-African. Africans are known to have been collaborative in nature. Whenever you build a house in the rural areas, you call neighbors to come and assist in the making of the bricks and in the actual construction of the house. You just have to put some food, and then people will come and make the bricks. And then you put some food, people will come and help you put together a house. That's how people build houses in the past. Collaboration was quite very key. But now, the education system has brought in characters that are so individualistic, and actually it's even competition in everything that we do. People even compete in the graveyards, where they put a lot of money in insurances, and they build some of the biggest tombstones for their people, and they justify it with a lot of reasons that this is really their wish, and there's a send off and some sort of weird things that the people do, which I've seen also in the community where I come from. So this individualism, this focus on the self, creating something big around one's name and one's family name. We've done this huge thing. This is massive. I've listened to my kids also talk about, when you go to places, they will always say, oh, this is huge. So the mentality is that the big, the better. And that's not necessarily how it works. In my language, they say, Mapfurali wa mtumbani, which simply means the one who really eats the best food is the one who stays in the simplest hut. So, we need to show some humility in terms of the manner in which we approach things. But the education system says you have to compete, be the best. Once you are the best, look down on the rest, because you are really one of a kind. and that's not really collaborative. This competitive behavior is quite driving a lot of greed, and politicians have used that type of attitude to amass a lot of wealth for themselves here in Africa, to the huge harm of our people, creating, deeper challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. So I think we need to get away from the herd mentality, where we don't recognize talents that can be harnessed, where it's at school is a one size fit all. If you don't pass one exam, which is used as a determiner of success, then you are labeled useless, and you're not given a chance to do something exciting. So this education promotes individualism, but at the same time it also shuns other potential individual talents and skills that people can create, work around, and bring a lot of value to society. And I'll give people, like, for example, the fact that you get people like Trevor Noah, who are comedians, making a lot of success of themselves, but the education system will not even acknowledge that type of a career. People like your DJ Coffee, who have done a lot in music and invested in businesses, which then tend to benefit a lot of other communities, businesses such as your core, and a whole host of other businesses. So the society that we are living in is really driven by individualism. It's driven by competition, to the point that sometimes even parents compete with their children. Even siblings compete amongst themselves, and a lot of hatred develops, to the point that people even kill each other for money and all sorts of things that bring prestige and pomp and pride. So if we don't really bring back the spirit of Ubuntu, the spirit of you are because I am, and the working together as Africans, we will always be lagging behind. We have seen how networking and collaboration has entrenched the Somalis here in South Africa in the running of spaza shops. The Ethiopians have really grabbed the economy of the small businesses in the townships to the detriment of locals. But the blame must be on ourselves, because we don't want to collaborate. Because when one of us gets into an opportunity, a tender, they will make sure they do their best, that they close the door, nobody must come in. They can close doors to their own mentors, people who have enabled them to be who they are. So the culture of collaboration is no longer there amongst us as Africans. So this makes it very hard to identify partners. This culture of individualism makes it very hard to get people who are committed to working together, sharing a vision, creating success that we can be able to say we have done it together. This is a collective effort. The challenge there is that we want to focus on ourselves. The me, the myself, and the I emphasis is really the poison that is taking us nowhere. And the other thing also, one of the artists in Venda once said, the school, in this competitive culture that it creates, it also sows, sometimes the seeds of hate. The disregard for the one who's not performing well, the animosity, creating people that they are told that they need to work with each other, but at the same time, the whole time, the curriculum they do is aimed at emphasizing the importance of the individual. So he says that the education system sows seeds of hate, and also it also makes us hypocrites. And you can understand, hypocrites are not really the type of people that can be able to create collaborative efforts and be able to prosper. It's quite very interesting to learn from the issue of collaborative efforts when we look at how people in Botswana started the University of Botswana. by each family donating a cow, and then they sold the cow to the EU and they got the money, and then they managed to build a university. Partnership is the thing that will take us somewhere. Individualism does work, but without support of each other as Africans, we're not likely to go very far. If we want to go far, we need to work as a team. We need to work as partners. But the thing that we need to know is, if we are partnering with each other, let's be honest. Don't go into a business for selfish reasons, to enrich yourself through somebody's efforts, to benefit without any sense of fairness. One of the things that is very important in terms of finding the community of practice, where you can identify business partners. I'll really explain it through this concept called Shinrin or Yoku, which is basically a Japanese word saying that Shinrin, which means the forest, and then Yoku meaning bath. I used to take walks at the Rand Easter Show here in South Africa, which takes place around Easter, around March, April, end of March, April, during the Easter holidays. So for me, the Rand Show itself is, I consider it to be figuratively a forest. And my walking there, moving from one stall to another, where I talk to this entrepreneur and that entrepreneur, is the process of bathing. So I bath my entrepreneurial spirit. In other words, I immerse myself by listening to other people's experiences in running their small businesses. I connect with other people and form friendship with what other people are doing. I buy other people's products in the process to support them. And at the same time, I also build relationships with them where I can be able to talk to them about my challenges. So you start to surround yourself with a support system of people that believe in business. Because sometimes for us as Africans, the culture of business is quite very leggy. You are always discouraged and told that you're not going to make it. You're not going to succeed. You're going to fail. Those are the words that you always get, either from our parents or from the communities or the friends. They are always looking for that opportunity to say, no, we knew that you were not going to make it. So we ostracize those who go out there to make a business, to create job opportunities for the rest of the community. And we are very happy to be dependent on other races, creating all the goods and services that we consume and the jobs. And in the process, they abuse us because they know that we are dependent on them. So we need to wake up. We need to work together as partners. We need more collaborative effort. You will not go far by yourself without bringing people with the skills to support your business. There's always a limit to growth. There's a limit to capability. You will not be able to have the skills that can make sure that your business becomes huge, or it grows and spreads throughout the country or throughout the continent. We have a huge population. The cake is big. There's no reason in why we have to focus on the self. If we partner, we can make the cake even bigger. We have the resources. We have the youthful population. We have the buying power. Africa is the home to more than 1.4 billion people. It simply means we've got the demand. But if we don't work together and we spend a lot of time not working, then we've got a serious challenge. I've got a very interesting example. This interesting example is from my physician called Dr Mpho. He once told me that he went to the Congo and found people busy praying too much. And in the whole process of praying, they are not really taking care of their own needs. They are not creating their own jobs. They are not supplying themselves with goods and services. People from other races come from other countries, come and realize that the Congo is rich, full of resources, and they are doing a lot of things for themselves. And he said, if I were to give an example, I would try to create a situation where I put a garden, 2 gardens, 1 garden on the side, I fertilize, I take away the weeds, 1 garden on the side, I don't fertilize, I allow those people who are very religious to pray for this garden, and we will check over the time which garden flourishes. Is it the one that we have put the seedlings and people just pray and the other one where we have put the seedlings and we fertilize and take away the weeds? The answer is very obvious. Let's take these collaborative efforts that we're putting in working at religious institutions, creating the churches into organizations that can build small businesses, and we create goods and services for our people. There's no need to pray too hard. Let's collaborate rather to solve the myriad of problems that we have. The poverty, the unemployment, the inequality, the suffering of our people need us to put hands on the deck, and we partner and collaborate. The cake is big. There's no need to be jealous of each other. There's no need to start a business to destroy your neighbor or to compete with your fellow black person. Rather, identify another niche and complement your fellow black person. This culture of harming each other is not good. There's enough space out there to compete. There's enough space there to start our own franchises. There's enough space out there to really start manufacturing our own products, where we can supply these people in our communities. We've got, social groups that, gather so much money that is spent during the festive season in shops that we don't have any shareholding, shops that we don't own, shops that we don't have any goods that we supply to, shops that we are not even allowed to supply anything in them. We can't manufacture a thing. Let's collaborate, let's partner. Those that are making money from tenders and stuff, let them come together with those that have got the ideas and create long-lasting businesses. There's no need to rely on corruption all the time. There's no need to just be a thief. Let's create businesses that are sustainable. There's enough room out there. South Africa still imports a lot of products from China and other countries that can be produced here. But if we don't collaborate, we'll always be fodder for other races. And this is something that I'm saying. Let's partner. Let's work together, and let's be honest. If you're not made for business, don't go into business with the intention of benefiting from somebody's hard work. Rather, go out there and be an employee and excel at doing that. There's no harm in that. That is also an excellent thing to do. I would also want to talk about things that you need to avoid when looking for partners. The most important thing that I've learned is the hangers-on. There are people that will just hang around in the business and not contribute much. These people will want to have an equal share, and they're not ashamed about it, but they will not contribute a thing. They will not, share any ideas. They will not, they are so detached. They don't have a sense of connection, to the business itself. And, they don't come up with, any new exciting ideas. All they are obsessed about is the small things. If you go to somewhere or they see a transaction, they will quickly make a message or a call and say they saw some money moving, but they don't come up with anything to suggest and say, this is where we want the business to go. This is the strategy that I've been thinking. They will not come up with a single idea. So the obsession is with the money. They want to share the money, and they also want to have an equal share of the money. They are not ashamed. The hangers-on are the most problematic people to partner with in business. And please avoid them, because you're going to work for them. You're going to spend sleepless nights. You're going to create a lot of harm to your health. And these people will not be there when your family suffers and they deal with the consequences of the mental breakdown that comes out after putting so much hard work for years. So hangers-on really are the most poisonous people in a business. And I don't think it's worthwhile to work with them, to partner with them, because they don't contribute. They don't read reports. You can work with them for 10, 20 years. They don't show any growth because they have no interest. The interest is on the money. How much money am I getting? As long as my name is on the business, on the company, I'm going to get a cut out of it. And then they also would want to glorify some petty things that they do. A person can just do some small admin things and say, no, but this is my contribution. I'm making a lot of work. And they will blow the little things that they do out of proportion. And these little things that they do, in most cases, are not income generating activities. So I'm trying to say, avoid the hangers-on. These people are parasites, and they don't feel ashamed about it. we're living in a capitalist world. People are interested in getting money to build themselves houses, to buy themselves cars. So if they can get it for free without doing much, why not? So let's avoid that, because the hangers-on want to earn money without doing much. And if you try to task them to do any work, you'll see them getting very irritated, or they try to dodge and run away, but they want to earn an equal share. Hangers-on are not the best people to engage in a form of partnership in running a small business. A small business cannot afford people who hang around and make no contribution, because it is not a government where people just get money from the fiscus. You perform or not, there are no consequences, and there's no, some of the people are not even held accountable. My experience is that get people who can bring value, who can bring ideas, who can complement you, and who can grow the business for the benefit of the community. In identifying partners, it's very important to avoid big-headed people. The people who are obsessed with the, positions that they used to occupy in the past, to the point that when they come to work for you, they've already developed the big boss mentality. They are not willing to take any instruction from anyone, but they want to earn. I've learned a lot from people that I've brought into business and worked with, and realized that they are fixated on the positions that they used to have. When I started my small businesses, I left my job and I became ordinary, and I was willing to pick paper on the street to make money for my business. Actually, I had a job from the city of Joburg where, I had a team that was doing grass maintenance, grass cutting along the roads. And I'll go and assist them and collect paper on the street, because you have to forget about what your position is all about or what you used to be. And as an owner, I've learned that the more you work, the more your employees also realize that they can work with you. So avoid the big-headed people, because you cannot trust them and you cannot hold them accountable, but they will still want to earn money, and you will be unable. You will fail to take them out of the business once you have brought them in, and they are already, deriving some income from your business. So it's important to avoid those people, because they're not going to assist in any way. Some people that I've also come across would want to do some injection of money into the business and expect to make some good returns without making any effort. It's very hard in a small business to generate a lot of profit in the beginning. So getting money and promising people that they'll get a lot of money can make one a slave. So in some cases, it's better to partner with people that can bring in sweat equity. That is, they can bring in physical effort, skill, experience, and help build the business. So that's quite very important to consider sweat equity as one of the thing that can grow a business, not necessarily the tangible money. One of the things also that is very important is to avoid people who want to test ideas in your business. Some people will just come there and say, no, I have a butchery idea. Can we please go down there and do a butchery? It's quite very dangerous to partner with people like that. Just know what business you want to be in, what industry is your interest, so that when people come there who have ideas but have no money to do their things, they want to test them through you. You can be able to tell them that it's not what you're interested in. Let them go and identify resources to implement their own ideas, so that you can also focus on your own business and grow it, focusing on its strategy, the original strategy that you have had. That way you will not blame any other people for the failures that you encounter along the way. Also avoid taking advice from people who have never had any business experience. if there's one thing that I've learned in this world is that everybody's got an idea and everybody will want to offer advice. But the majority of the advice that one gets on the street is untested. And it can harm a business immensely. So don't get advice from people who know nothing about business. Rather get mentors to be the people that you can partner with to offer you that technical support, to offer you that voice of guidance, that experience that you don't have, so that you can always know that I'm on the right path and I'm pursuing the right things. What is important is also to ensure that in whatever partnership that you strive to establish when starting a business, from the beginning, just be honest to each other and ensure that there's fairness. Business becomes very sustainable if there's fairness. If there's unfairness, the one who's working the most, the one who's bringing in the money, is going to get disillusioned over time. And even the one who's benefiting without contributing much will lose. So some people are short-sighted. They would rather make money now from somebody. But if you were to be fair and say, no, my contribution is less, let me earn a 20% out of the 100. You take the 100, the 80. They might earn something for the rest of their life. But because of being greedy and wanting to earn 50%, the people with the expertise and the knowledge will end up going out and start something because they don't want to be used. So let's strive for fairness. Let's strive for ensuring that the one who contributes the most resources in terms of time, in terms of ideas, innovation, gets rewarded. That way we will have a flourishing business. Finally, when choosing a partner, it's quite very important to choose a partner as if it's somebody that you're going to marry. Why I'm saying that, you don't just marry anyone you meet along the street. So a business partner is somebody that you must consider very seriously. The business partner must be chosen with a lot of caution. There's a lot of danger and risk that can be associated with bringing the wrong people. It can kill the business from the start, or some people can behave in a dangerous way once they start to see a lot of money, to the point that they can even kill you so that they can be left with all the money. So bring the right people. Also, don't just go and partner out there with anyone because they have money or because they are interested in your business. Sometimes some of the people are drug dealers or they are syndicates in some criminal schemes. They would want to partner with you and bring in money, but you must know that that can be a sacrifice of your life. The right partners are important, but also equally choose the right people with the right energy who can put in the effort and the long hours. Sometimes what you need is not necessarily the money. Sometimes what you need is not the rush to be rich. It's the gradual growth to building a long-lasting business with a lot of patience and enduring a lot of upfront suffering with the belief that the business will grow and look after you and create a very important contribution to the community at large in the form of jobs. For me, business is a calling from God. And for me, business is prayer. God wants work. That's why he spent 6 days working out of the 7. And that's why he also says those who do not work must not eat. So let's get people who are going to work as partners. Let's go people who are going to bring in ideas in the business. Let's go and get partners that are willing to go the long haul for the good of the business. They can sacrifice because they understand the vision of where the business is going. But we must make sure that we avoid the people who are too selfish and too greedy, because there's a danger there. Because the love of money can be a very serious problem. Identifying partners also who are very much into corrupt schemes is also quite very dangerous, because corruption is almost like joining a criminal syndicate. And as an African proverb spells it out, money is like seawater. It doesn't quench the thirst. So we must choose the right partners, not the thieves, not the corrupt, not the selfish, not the greedy, not those who are looking for a quick success, and not the ones that are pursuing the pomp and pride so that they can be seen out there to be doing well. But sometimes you need the humble person on the street that is walking the path of business, that knows the pain of running a small business. That is the person that can be a very good partner. The person may not have the money that you need, but may have the determination and the ability to put in the effort. Can be trustworthy. For me, the best business partner is the person that when you are lying in a hospital bed, the last thing that you'll be worried about is the performance of the business. The last thing that you'll be worried about is whether your family is safe or not, if the money will be there when you come out or not. That is the type of a partner that you want. Somebody who can look after your interests, even at the point when you are unable to do anything for yourself. That is a good business partner. But as Africans, we need a lot of collaboration and partnership to build sustainable enterprises. And if we don't do that, we'll remain fodder for the other races, and they will always just laugh at us. Let's collaborate. Let's build small businesses that are sustainable. Let's stop praying too much. Let's work. God wants work. God is excited about work. God rewards work. And small business is the path to liberation for the people in the continent from the clutches of poverty, unemployment, poverty, inequality. The suffering of our people require us to be less selfish, leave our jobs if we can, and start enterprises that can contribute to the good of the people by providing good quality services and products. This is the Succeed in Business podcast. This podcast will bring the best in you. Failure is inspiration. Success is within your reach. Do not give up. And I thank you.
If you want to get a copy of the book, contact Mpho Nenweli at 082-567-3099 on WhatsApp and on email mpho@anisa.co.za. The book costs 259 rands including courier.